Hello, my name is Isis Graham, and I'm one of the co-founders of the Alberta Electronic Music Conference and the Virtual Electronic Music Summit. In today's segment, I'm going to be talking to 6 Alberta businesses about some of the changes they've made to their platform to create supportive and awesome initiatives within their business to keep their doors open and support creatives. Let's check it out. Okay, I've got Clint Fraser here from 9910 Bottles of Beer on the Wall. Hello, Clint. How's it going?
Hi, Isis. I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing
I don't know
super
why
good.
I'm yelling. Sorry.
It's totally fine. We're happy to see each other. Maybe it's been a while since.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So you started this cool project, 9910 Bottles of Beer on the Wall. Tell us about it.
Okay, so yeah, 9910 Bottles of Beer on the Wall is a delivery and pickup service available through 9910. And the deal is it's not just your regular alcohol and beverage like pickup and delivery. We also offer local band merchandise, so t-shirts, LPs, cassettes, CDs, everything. So you can go on the website on 9910, 99ten.ca and make your order. So you can order, from about 15 or 20 different local breweries, and you can pair it with, I think we have over 50 or 60 bands now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, 9910 has turned into a distribution warehouse. It's just like full of merch and all alphabetized. And yeah, we have a pretty cool system going on down there.
That's really amazing. So for people that don't know or aren't familiar with 9910, 9910 is a venue in Edmonton. And what else do you guys usually do there?
We do a lot of community events and private events as well. So we host a lot of nonprofits. We also do a lot of corporate events as well. That kind of helps pay the bills to support the community stuff and to also, put on the shows that don't make as much money.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
we know all about that in our
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So COVID-19 obviously greatly impacted your business. It basically made it impossible for you to open your doors and do anything. So how did you come up with this idea?
Well, I was just trying to think of a creative way that we could help bands outside of streaming, because everyone was doing the streaming thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, how are bands going to sell merch or make money from shows? It's really hard. And how's the venue going to make any money, right?
Yeah.
Like we can't make any money off stream. So I kind of came up with the idea that if we delivered, alcohol and had pickup for alcohol, how could we do that, but also include like the artists and the bands and, that's how amazing. It is now. Yeah.
And so I know I saw on your website that when you sell the merchandise, 100% of the profit or proceeds go to directly to the band or the artist.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But then also part of the liquor sales too?
Yeah, 10% of the liquor sales as well. Yeah, because we want to make sure that we have that we support our community that's supported 9910 so much through through the good times, right? And in the bad times, we want to make sure that artists are getting money. Like there's a bunch of artists and friends of mine that had shows booked at 9910 right after COVID hit or whatever. And they had tours booked and they had a ton of merch printed and they just received, 500 albums in the mail, for example, right? And
it's a big investment,
Oh, absolutely. So and this isn't going to be, the same, they're not going to receive the same amount of money that they would if they went on tour, but at least, we can kind of help and then feature the bands that were hit a little bit harder, like Marlena Moore, for example, who had a, big world tour planned and, then everything is just gone. So.
It's just so unfortunate. Even though there's lots of supporting programs for single musicians, like when you have an entire band that relies on income from a tour, it's hard to make that difference up.
Exactly.
Do you think that after COVID's over, that you'll continue this project?
I mean, my hope is that we'll be able to do live events again. I would like to, I wouldn't like to give up on it completely. I think that might be a cool annual thing to do, or like a biannual thing or maybe quarterly, every 4 months, we could do like a merch garage sale or something out of 9910 and give everyone an opportunity. And then we could pair it with, some I'm actually just coming up with this off the top of my head.
Oh, good. So here we are.
Yeah. So here we are. Here's the idea. We could pair it with bands playing afterwards. We could do a merch garage sale during the day and then do a show at night,
That's really cool. So the breweries that you've chosen, they're all local as well, or is this just the stuff that you would normally sell at 9910?
I mean, we really, like 9910 and the Common have like a very strong local program, like local, craft beer and local brewery program. So it kind of, we already had a lot of the stock, but we do support those 24/7, 365. So yeah, it was something that we could do to help them as well, because while they can sell cans and bottles, their like kegs are, they're not having all the bars, restaurants, everything are closed, right? So they have all these kegs. So we've actually purchased some kegs as well, which is nice, like we are buying new stock because the program was so successful. So
that's so great.
Yeah, it's
so
great.
How do people order, and where can we find all the information about this platform?
Yes, so you can go to 99ten.ca, and it's really straightforward and easy. We've turned our website just into this, like there's no upcoming events, obviously. So you can just go to the website and you punch in your order, and you can select for pickup or delivery. We're still practicing social distancing, so you select your time. You come from 4:30 to 4:45 to pick up your order or whatever, right? So we don't have a log jam of people coming all at once, and we still do the delivery thing as well, which is excellent. I really liked when I was coming up with the idea in my head, I really liked the idea of being able to order like local records and some local beer and having it delivered to your door.
Yeah, that to me is the ultimate convenience factor. And also so punk rock. I love it so much.
Yeah, and we have the coolest delivery van ever. So
Do you?
It's the coolest. So we have a little mini Cub van. You'll see photos of it if you go on the website. It's really cool. So I don't know. I kind of liked the idea of being the envy of your neighbors. You got this little cool van coming with the cool guys delivering beer and records. I don't know.
This is such a great idea, Clint. You've done so much to stay relevant and stay on top of the game here. This is amazing. Yeah. I really can't wait until we can all hang out at 9910 again. It's one of my favorite venues in Alberta.
I know. I can't wait to do that as well, and I can't wait to go to AEMCON again.
Me too. Yeah, but we have VEMS. We have VEMS.
Oh yeah, exactly. We got VEMS. So it's great. It's great. I'm just saying, when this is all over, have that personal touch.
All the best things together. I mean, you might even not want to admit it, but you might even miss the tarps. Do you miss the tarps?
Oh, no. Definitely don't miss the tarps. Oh, I'm going to flip a table. No. No, I definitely don't. And I also have a big problem with, never mind.
We'll leave it there. Clint, thank you so much.
Thanks, Isis. I really appreciate it. Yeah,
and thanks for having me. We'll see you at VEMS.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see you at VEMS.
Have a great day.
Yeah, you too. Bye.
All right. I've got Caitlin Varrin here from Quarantine magazine. How are you doing, Caitlin?
Good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. It's been a great day of interviews with lots of cool business folks. So you're in Edmonton, right?
I am.
And you're doing Quarantine magazine. Tell me about this project that you started.
Yeah. Okay. So it kind of was born from a pun with me and my best friend. So my best friend and business partner with Lawless Vintage, Danielle, and we were just trying to make each other laugh one day. This was at the very beginning of all of this mess, and just kind of throwing quarantine puns back and forth to one another. And I was like, oh man, I feel like the editor-in-chief of Quarantine magazine. And then I was like, wait a second. So step 2 was, I'm going to see if that URL exists, because that's always like how you take a joke to the next level, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And it existed because, why wouldn't it have existed? So that's kind of how it just kind of came as a little bit of a joke and a little bit of a, I don't know, silly banter. But it's definitely blossomed into something that I didn't realize it was going to. It's been really, really fun to curate and put it all together over these last few months.
That's amazing. And so what exactly is Quarantine magazine? What's the platform?
So it's a digital magazine, and we have an Instagram account. I occasionally post on Facebook, but essentially the hub, the main action is at quarantinemagazine.com. And it's Quarantine spelled Teen. It's a play on 17 magazine. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
so originally I thought that it was going to be like, kind of take the more like teeny bopper cheesy kind of route. And and, you know, do like quizzes, like what kind of quarantiner are you? What's your quarantine style? Like how to have a crush in quarantines, things like that. But it kind of all came together after I did the first call for submissions. And when I realized that people were really actually down to connect on this thing, I was like, okay, let's actually
do
take
something
it seriously. Yeah.
I mean, this is really great because your background's in media, you're an amazing photographer and you're a DJ. So you can just bring all that stuff together under one roof. It's like you've got all the right skills and networks to put something like this and together and have it work really well.
It's honestly my dream job. I've always said since day one, since I've been working in creative marketing and media, that I want to run a magazine one day. And so it just kind of came overnight, and I didn't realize that this was what was happening. But now that I've been doing it for a few months, I'm just like, yeah, this feels really right. So it's cool to sit in the seat of the curator and the connector, and not necessarily be the one that is making all of the content, and because that's what I do in my daily job for my clients, but to instead kind of get to take the more behind the scenes role of it, and just collect all the goodies that are coming in from all around the world, which has been really, really awesome.
Yeah, that is amazing. And the fact is that right now people need like more interesting outlets for their creative stuff, because the artists that I know maybe aren't being as productive in terms of like making music, but suddenly they're doing painting and they're doing all these extra multimedia projects. And oh my goodness, with the live streams, all of the visual arts are coming right out screaming. So there's just like this whole new level of creative content that needs a home. So this feels like a good place for it.
Exactly. Yeah, no. And it's funny because when I first started kind of putting out or like asking for submissions and talking to more artists about like, because people would say, what do you want? What should I send you? And I would just say, anything, send me anything. And then I realized, okay, I have like a full inbox here of submissions that I need to sift through here. And so kind of at that point I said, okay, let's direct this into a focus point that is based on what is your creative experience or your creative what's the word, like process. There we go. What is your creative process during this quarantine time, right? So we've had some really cool articles of bands that are putting out their like their new EP or their album, or you know, artists that have kind of switched their focus of how they're painting, or collage artists and stuff. And so I mean, it is a huge theme of creating under this time is how it's affecting everyone, right? So
yeah, do you think so? It's called Quarantine Magazine, and do you think that you're going to keep this going after the quarantine is over? Like that's the big question, right? What does this platform become after COVID's over?
Well, because of sort of the path that it's taken in connecting artists from around the world. Like I think I've got a few submissions through Europe. I've got my furthest artist is in Tunisia, which is really cool, but a good little pod in Chicago. Lots of submissions from Vancouver as well. So, I mean, we're quarantined from each other. You know what I mean? Like that's really, true. Yeah. So I do see a future in it staying alive. You know, I think I'll definitely keep the name because I bought the damn URL.
Yeah, it's yours. It's yours now.
Yeah, but I would love eventually to, you know, be able to host events, and I would love to have a printed magazine as well. So
that would be great. And you could even have like a feature specific one about things that happened during this specific time. I mean, it's going to be one of those historic things where we look back and go like, look at this little bit of time that we were all doing specific things. It's just going to be really interesting to see how it takes shape as a retrospect. It's going to be interesting.
Exactly. And I mean, the tagline of the magazine is a collection and reflection of weird times. Yeah. And I feel like life is just so weird anyways, so that we can kind of play off of that regardless, right? So, and even kind of just, we're in phase one, I guess, of getting back to whatever. It's still going to take
a long time,
while, right? So yeah, I feel like we can ride this out for a bit and see what happens next in the future. Yeah.
That's amazing. So if someone wanted to submit something to you, how do they do that?
You can email me at submit@quarantinemagazine.com. All that information is on our website and through Instagram as well. I get lots of people that will just kind of send a DM on Instagram, or you can submit right through the website. There's a form there, or you can directly email. Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much.
I want everyone's stuff.
Yeah. Bring it on. Bring it on. There's just been so much great stuff, and I love the site. I was on there today, and earlier I talked to Clint from 9910 Bottles, which was like such a another really cool idea out of Edmonton. Like, you guys are killing it up there.
It's been so nice to be able to support each other as well, right? Because, I mean, we're not the types, Clint, I, and, you know, all these other artists, that we don't do well sitting around
No.
and not, you know, chipping in or whatever. So yeah, it's been nice to kind of mobilize each other as well.
That's really cool. Well, thank you for everything you do.
Yeah,
and
thank
shouts out
you.
to Quarantine and your sweet little dog that I love so
Yeah.
much. Oh my goodness. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Do you have any last words you want to say?
I miss you.
I miss you. I miss everybody. We miss
I miss everybody. Yeah. Yeah.
Totally. All right. Well, thanks for being on the little VEMS business showcase, and we'll see
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, I am here with Dooshima Jev, and this is a woman that does so many things, and I can't even begin to understand how COVID-19 has possibly impacted your many businesses. Do you want to tell us first all the things you do and like the great lengths that you go to support artists in this country?
Yes, I am Kimberly Starr. I'm a DJ, budding producer,
Yeah.
and I manage KLS Management, which is a agency that manages artists of color in Calgary as well as Vancouver and Africa.
Amazing.
I run Umoja Sessions, which is a monthly, or was a month, is a monthly that was going to be traveling across the country, but now we have moved online. I run Book H2YYC, which is Healing Hands, which is my aesthetics business, and I just launched She DJs, which is a program that is for women, but with a focus on teaching women of color about DJing and about production. So
that is amazing. All these things, you do so much, and you also work in the nonprofit sector too. Is your other side of your life?
yes, and I manage Actors in the City as well, which is all about promoting the diaspora within Canada and the rest of the world. So many things.
Yeah, you got your hand in all the pies. So specifically for your management company, I mean, this must have hit you guys like a ton of bricks, because you were just gaining some great momentum with that company. You had signed on some fantastic artists. Like, how has this been, this transition to everything to nothing? Like, what's going on?
And that's exactly it. Everything to nothing. And I think because of a lot of KLS management rides on my success as an artist, as I'm self-managed. And, you know, it took me a little while to understand, you know, because I hear things from Germany firsthand, and then I hear things from Africa firsthand, and I hear things from Europe because of the people that I work with. So we knew it was coming, but it happened in one day the whole year for me.
Yeah.
And so if for me, already like hustling my 20 artists, it was gone the minute my stuff was gone. And so I think we are still just even trying to figure ourselves out. You know, communication has been very poor because mental health has just been, you know, I've been very frustrated because as a manager, I'm concerned and I'm worried for my artists. And, you know, it's always that thing of like, take the medication, as in like, call the manager, don't run, call the manager, because you'll feel better.
Yeah.
You will feel better, because trust me, if there's anybody that can handle a pandemic, it's gonna be me.
I would have to agree with that. Actually, you got all the coping skills down pat, I feel.
Yeah.
So do you think, like, how do you think this is going to impact your business long term? I know that for a lot of people in this industry, there's just it's a lot of unknowns, and it's even hard for us to quantify what the impacts are going to be down the line. But from a management perspective, you know, what kinds of things are you doing now to sort of get ready for what's going to happen after this? Like, are you getting artists prepped, or is it just a very quiet time for you guys?
It's a very quiet time. So 20 artists is quite the feat. I would say 50% of the roster are just kind of taking it easy right now, you know, really thinking about what they like to do during the days, you know, watch some Netflix, all that kind of stuff. And then the other 50% are running on steroids. I'm like, I can't keep up. They're working, they're collaborating, they're engaging, they're doing live streams, you know, and like artists, some of them are getting into trouble, some are not getting into trouble, you know, and it's like I have 20 kids, and they're not kids by any means, but it's like I have 20 children, and I'm just a mom, and I'm like, I'm not gonna yell today, I'll yell tomorrow, you know, you know, secretly subtweeting them on Twitter, like, no, I have no friends, and like, and Ray will message me like, I'm feeling the tension from over here, Kim, slow down, I'm sorry. You know, so I know that they're hearing me, and I know that right now everything that I've said to everybody is just work on engagement, you know, work on connecting, because we didn't have the opportunity to connect with our fans before, and as artists of color, it's become so important for us to make that connection.
Yeah.
Because when we are out of here, we need to connect it for real and hug sleeps.
Do you think, I mean, what I'm seeing as an artist is that this has been actually a really great time to build those deeply sort of connected and intimate relationships with your fans. Like the streaming platform, while you might not get, you know, thousands of people tuned into your stream, you've got those 50 or 20 or 100 people, and they're engaging and they're chatting, and you're actually getting to know them because they tune into every stream, and it's like, hey, I'm making these new friends. And I actually think it's a huge opportunity for us to really create long life fans and friends, right? Don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, this whole time gives me that feeling of when Twitter was first happening, and, you know, it was live updates from everybody all around the world. And, you know, I think this is what the internet was meant to do. It's just, we had systems that were in place that hadn't caught up to the revolution that is the internet and technology. Like, I saw my first cell phone the other day, and I couldn't believe it.
It's either very large or like very tiny. Seem to remember.
So tiny. And now I have like 4 of these super machines that I run businesses and life on.
Yeah.
And it blows my mind. So I come from that generation that had dial-up internet for many, many years.
Me too. It was terrible. Like I remember doing MSN Messenger or AOL, and it would just, you'd be like, I hope that message went through. And then your mom would pick up the phone and totally interrupt you.
It's done.
It's just, don't do it. We're so lucky actually. And thinking about that, like it's a good time to be an artist. And if you're being productive, that's great. I know some artists are really productive in a time like this, and some aren't. And like you said, back to the mental health, it's really important to acknowledge when things can't move at the speed that you maybe envisioned it moving at. I know for myself, I don't really feel that creative right now, but I feel really charged up about other things like connecting with fans and creating work projects, but not necessarily writing music, which I'm sure some producers could really relate to.
It's so hard. I'm not even kidding. Like I have a project with Kelly, and I'm like, I feel bad because she gave me this project 2 months ago, and I'm just like, I don't know. Like, today I'm good. Today I'm not sure. And now the days are blurring because it's been what now, like 30, 40 something days, 50 something days now.
Yeah, I think it's around 60. It's crazy.
And usually I'm okay with not leaving my house, you know, but the process of not having touch is a really difficult one for me.
So when, do you think when you come back, KLS management, do you think that things will pick up, or do you think you guys are going to move into adapting some of this online virtual space as like potential income streams for some of your artists?
Mm-hmm. This is exactly what we're talking about right now, because to be honest with you, Isis, we don't want to go back to how things were.
Yeah, I hear that.
And to be honest with you, you know, we had a big year last year, but that was a lot of sacrifice on my part.
Yeah.
Sharing bills, sharing invoices, sharing and doing it purposely so that we could show that actually the way the industry was running wasn't sustainable. Like one artist should not be getting all the big deals and having to share with 20 other artists.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that have to change. And I think, yes, definitely you're going to see a lot of difference in the way some of the KLS management artists are operating, because audience has changed.
Yeah.
And it's global now.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal. So a lot of artists on the roster who are very local can now claim that they are international artists.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And, I think in a sense, this sort of levels the playing field too for in the virtual space. It really levels the playing field. And when I think about some disparities we've had in the music industry, which would be, as you mentioned, like the upper top rung getting paid most of the money, and then also a lack of diversity in lineups and programming, I think now is a great time to start inserting more people into these spaces. And I think we're going to have a really nice, fresh level space that we can attack this at from all directions.
Absolutely. It's so exciting. I'm so excited, because it just opens us up, and this is it. This is what I'm talking about. I come from, I grew up in England, and I came from the underground, and I live in the underground, and we're ninjas, we're punks, like that's what we do. We're all about the music, always about the music, and it's always just about figuring out how we can always uplift and support each other. So definitely a lot coming, and a lot changing, for my artists, because it's not only forcing them to think of themselves as business owners, but it's forcing them to think of themselves as humans.
Yeah, that's a big thing. And instead of robots.
Yeah. Yes.
I hope, for me, I think I really hope that out of this, we can get some more healthy lifestyle choices going on for touring artists. And I think this downtime that we've had, maybe has made a lot of people reflect on some of our, habitual processes that we do in this whole scene, because it's definitely can easily spiral out of control. And I'm looking forward to like what it actually looks like on the other side. Like, are people going to go crazy, or are they going to be totally calm? I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know. I've just seen that they've done their first party in Germany, and I felt some feelings about it, but step by step.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to go to a party right now, but I am loving all the streams. The streams are giving me life right now, and I love to see people in their own environments getting creative and like doing funny stuff on the internet. Like, it's been, I don't know, I've had a really great time.
I've had a great time. I sat in a meeting the other day with Doja Cat's manager, Savage 21's manager, press agents for Beyonce, Michael Jackson, Jay-Z.
Wow.
This would not have happened. This would not happen. Every day I connect with a big executive that you would have to have paid. It would honestly have been divine intervention for real.
Yeah, or you would have to be in LA and just doing the work. Yeah, it's amazing.
Exactly. And just the fact that I can call up any damn DJ I want these days, like, oh my, hey, Troy Boy, what you doing, Troy Boy?
That's amazing. Well, this is basically all I've got time for on this segment, but I really appreciate you talking to me. I hope KLS gets back on its feet right away. I love what you're doing. I love your artist. Big love.
Thank you. We're pushing. Big love, Isis. Like, thank you. I've been thinking a lot. I'm not hearing anything about what's happening with our nightlife.
I know. Me neither.
And I always want to say that if anybody has ideas or anything that they want to do for fundraising to help DJs and nightlife in Calgary, I'm more than available. There's an amazing initiative in Germany that is working on raising funds for clubs and for DJs, and they've raised $1 million since the pandemic started.
Wow.
And I really believe we can do this in Canada. So please, we got to figure it out. So I know the organizers who do that in Germany. So if we want to have a call or whatever, let's figure it out, because €1 million is a lot.
Yeah, that's also a big idea. We know that in Canada, venues especially haven't been included in some of the support funding. So yeah, it's a great idea. I mean, it's going to just take a little bit of time to see where things head and end up, but let's hope it turns out good for everybody.
I hope so. My fingers are crossed. I miss you, the Hi-Fi Habitat. Yesterday I woke up at 2 and I was like, normally when this happens, I'll like get in the car and drive down to Hi-Fi to see Bracken. And I was like, oh, I've been doing that for 10 years, Isis.
I know, it's really built into our DNA now at this point.
Yeah. So, okay. I'm going to message Bracken today.
You do that. Okay, it's been great chatting with you. We'll see you
Thank
at
you.
VEMS.
Yes, we'll see you soon. All the best with the festival coming up.
Thank you. Hello, I have Lucas McCarthy here from Showpass. He is the founder, also the CEO. Welcome. How's it going?
Thank you so much for having me. It's going good. I think the COVID isolation has really got me in an interesting headspace. But I'm a brand new dad, so this has not only been a time well spent with my brand new son, but I've had the opportunity to actually work basically all day, every day now. So
Yeah.
unimpeded, no travel times or anything.
Yeah, no, that's really great. That's what I'm finding also as someone who works outside of VEMS and AEMCON. I don't have to travel to work. I'm actually saving so many hours and spending it with my family too. It's actually, for some of us that do run businesses, it's actually kind of a nice perk.
Oh, my CFO took the insurance off of his car. So
Yeah.
he's and then I think the battery died in his car. So I think for whatever he saved on insurance, it kind of bit him in the ass, but that's okay.
That's totally okay.
You win some, you lose some.
Totally. So for Showpass, I mean, you guys run as a subsidiary industry within the events industry, selling tickets and managing events. COVID must have hit you guys really hard. How did you feel getting that news that everything was shutting down? Like, what was that whole experience like for you?
Yeah, I think that, it was a Thursday, in March, where I'll never forget, watching the live stream of the AHS personnel going on stage and being like, by the way, no events under 250 people are going to happen from now on. And during that speech, we actually had like a dozen events that were way over 250 people that had to shut down right away.
Yeah, of
So,
course.
as I'm sure you can imagine, we went from a regular day that we obviously understood that something was going to happen. We didn't know what it was, but to kind of a panic, frantic, like, how, do we refund these people? Like, they're halfway into the event. Like, some people have left already. Some people haven't even got there. Like, how do we even,
Wow.
assess the situation? And then, a day later it goes down to 50, and, depending on which province you're in, it goes down to 15 after that. And that was, it was one of the more interesting times, I think, of our business, where we had honestly no idea that what was going to happen from this, and a massive learning experience at the same time, where we have grown so much as a business. And I think in a lot of ways as individuals, when you have to kind of battle your way through this as, a young entrepreneur, and, our really talented team also skews to, the younger side, but that lack of maybe experience going through something like this is really, really challenging. So
Absolutely.
we had a really great crew that rose to the occasion and really pushed their way through this. But that was, it was a really, really, really insane time for us, because we had no idea how to react. We'd never put ourselves in that situation or even thought about it.
No kidding. As they say, unprecedented. Like, I mean, that word's been rinsed at this point, but it truly is unprecedented in the events industry. I mean, things can happen. We can have monsoons and different world events, but never has there ever been like the entire global events industry shut down at the same time, which is just incredibly insane when you think about it. So you guys were working on something behind the scenes. Maybe you can tell us a bit about it, because you've launched it during COVID in response, but also you'd already been working on it. So like, how much did you fast track your new platform in order to get it out right away in response?
Yeah. So this was, I mean, we were working on something very different than this behind the scenes. And this was actually a brand new thing that we created in response. But we were working on prior to this was actually not, it was non-monetizable. We couldn't make a cent through COVID with what we were working on before. So it was, we had to throw away basically everything.
Wow.
So Showpass Sessions is what we rolled out in response to this. And it was after a very, very, very grueling session of brainstorming. Showpass has something really cool where once every 2 months we have a hackathon, and effectively what happens is everyone gets together and joins different teams. Random people kind of get together with groups and try to accomplish something that is completely different and separate from what they would have done on a regular day-to-day basis. And, you know, we've had a lot of like really crazy things come out of our hackathons. We've had, you know, patios being built at our office.
Yeah.
You know, we've had donation platforms be built. It's been a really, really cool
It's like an innovative
program that we put together.
Yeah.
Yeah. The innovation really flows. And what I'd like to kind of think is that that's really what allowed us to be responsive, I think, during COVID, because we kind of had that session of crazy brainstorming where, you know, we sat down and, you know, effectively we could say to ourselves, we don't have a business anymore.
Yeah. No
and
kidding.
realistically, like our revenues overnight dropped to 98%. Like it was not like yeah.
That's the biggest percentage I've heard yet, I think. Holy.
Oh yeah. You know, we were obviously lucky. We came into this with really, really well aligned funding backers and investors who really trusted us with how we were going to respond and move forward. So that has been obviously, you know, a blessing that we came into this with, you know, really, really strong economics, I guess.
Yep.
And we had like 6 months of record months back to back. So
congratulations.
That was all. Yeah, that was the good side. And when we got hit with this, we sat down and we said, look, our business is gone as we know it. For now, obviously. And, you know, if knowing who you know in this business and the talent that we have in this company, what would you do to build a brand new company? And a less known fact about Showpass is that we actually started as a virtual queuing company. So
interesting.
Back in the day, we would be the company that if you went to a restaurant or in some cases a bank, you would put your phone number in this little tablet and we would text you when we could get you in.
That's amazing. So this concept of virtual space and doing stuff live in the moment wasn't new to you, and you just kind of made that pivot. So for people that are wanting to understand what it is that you're offering, why don't you explain it a bit so that we can talk about it?
Sure. So when we kind of landed on the idea for Showpass sessions, it was everyone in the space is almost as screwed as we are, or more screwed. Like in a lot of cases, people lost, you know, money, and you know, our heart goes out to them. We were lucky enough that we didn't really lose that much, but we certainly didn't gain anything. So we kind of looked around at all of our partners and we said, look, artists, venues, musicians, actors, you know, comedians, influencers, like everyone's out of work now.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they're still in demand. And I think that was the craziest part, was people still want to see a live show. People still want to see a DJ. People still want to see a band. And when we kind of said, how can we create a monetization platform that works for, you know, not only us, but the counterparties that are involved, which is the talent and obviously customers, we wanted to put them together and say, you know, what's the solution here? And what we kind of came up with that was unique. I mean, we bounced around ideas from, you know, general streaming to pay gated streaming all over the place. But what we really landed on was the idea that a small group of people needed to kind of socialize and be together virtually, and have interactions with their favorite artists or their favorite talent. And that couldn't happen in real life anymore. So we wanted to bring that experience virtually. So the easiest way to kind of describe it, and how I describe it to a lot of people, I think, in the entertainment space, is that, you know, it's a meet and greet with kind of your favorite artist, but you get to bring your group of friends.
Right. So there was an image on your demo, I think, where it's like you've got the show happening and then there's another panel with multiple people. So it's almost just like a way more beautiful, way more organized version of like a Zoom meeting or a Google Hangout where you get to showcase and present, and people can be drinking wine or cooking. You could be doing a cooking show, or you could be, you know, DJing or doing a stand-up comedy act, and everyone can be enjoying it. Is there inter-chat functionality and stuff too, or is it just sort of one directional? Yeah.
Yeah, it's, you know, obviously the host has the ability to kind of like, you know, mute people and even kick them in certain circumstances. I'm sure we haven't added it yet, but the inappropriate nature of people, I think, could
might come up. It may or may not come up at some point.
Let's hope not.
Let's hope not.
But yeah, I mean, we wanted this to be able to, we wanted a platform to be able to offer really, really unique experiences.
Yeah.
And these talent just, they had so much time now. Now, they weren't traveling, they weren't getting on a bus, they weren't getting on a plane, they weren't in a hotel. They could actually say, you know, look, I'm a musician full time, but you know, I'm a huge enthusiast of fitness, or I'm a huge enthusiast of cooking. You know, how can I share that talent with some of my fans and offer like a really unique package? So in some cases, some of these talent had actually partnered with, you know, places that would actually deliver, you know, a cocktail kit or a food kit, and they would actually walk them through that process of, you know, cooking it, or, you know, mixing up drinks, or coming up with a fitness class for their fans. So it was a really unique experience, not just like a shout
packages. Yeah, bespoke packages. Yeah, that's really neat. So artists looking to have a really, you know, private sort of closed in experience with people that they can charge a ticket for. That's what this is for. That's what this platform is built for. Yeah, that's really great. How do you see musicians adapting to this? Is it becoming popular? I mean, you've only launched it in the last couple of weeks, and are people picking up on it and starting to do some stuff? I think there's a bit of controversy in the DJ space right now about gating events. I think it's a little soon for some people to start, but you know what? I see it popping up now, and I think we're going to be moving in that direction as long as we have no venues or events. It's got to be becoming more popular. So do you see that going that direction already?
Yeah. So Showpass Sessions is a part of a larger movement that we're moving towards, and it's really aligned with the opening kind of structure of the world. So as the world goes from 0% capacity to 10% to 50% to 75%, all the way back to when, you know, 6 months ago it was all normal, you could operate at capacity. Showpass Sessions basically is the first and premier product that allows, you know, these things to really come to fruition now, when there's tons of free content out there. Where people can kind of engage with artists on a massive scale, almost like a GA type of ticket. This kind of consolidates that VIP, really, really, really unique fan base that can still engage and really create loyalty. You know, the next product that we will be rolling out is a pay-gated stream platform. And the idea is that, you know, we can have a venue operating at 20% capacity that will also offer a pay-gated stream that's actually done, you know, in-house at the venue.
Cool.
And then we can have Showpass Sessions, and then we can also pair that with prepaid purchases for things like food and beverage. So, you know, there's no cash or concessions, and then also integrate merch. So
it all just cuts down the points of contact and makes it streamlined and easy. Yeah, that sounds great. I mean, that sounds like the future to me.
Well, you know, and I appreciate that. I think given where the world is, you know, the streaming side of things is not going to go away. There's so many reports out there that are saying, you know, 7 in 10 people are still going to actually participate in live streams once the world goes back to normal.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, an amazing stat, and is obviously, you know, skewed for the people who actually attend concerts and things like that. But nonetheless, you know, I look at this and I say, this is an opportunity for the industry to kind of reset itself in a lot of ways. We were, you know, from the music side, I think this is different for sports and cultural events and different things like that. But in the music side, there was a lot of artists that were getting a lot of upfront payments and a lot of guarantees that really isolated venues and isolated promoters. And I think this is a good time for a lot of people to reset. And, you know, you've got 5 or 6 different revenue streams now that can be shared amongst all participants to kind of hedge risk against a single party. So
that's an interesting way of approaching it. Yeah, that's That's good. I think that's probably the way we need to move forward. After losing everything, we're going to need to be a little more
Totally.
mindful about where we're putting our eggs, right?
Yeah,
Okay, that's great. Well, Lucas, this is all we have time for on today's segment.
no problem.
I super appreciate you taking the time to chat with me, and I hope you have an awesome spring, and I hope we get to be back on the dance floor together really soon.
No, thank you so much for reaching out, and I really appreciate the opportunity to come on with you guys. I'm looking forward to seeing this whole thing come to fruition. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye. Okay, I've got Tyler Duhaime here from 403 D&B. Tyler, how's it going?
Good. How are you, Isis?
I'm doing really good. I mean, it's raining here in Calgary. Obviously, that means we can get some work done today.
Yeah. Sure.
How is everything going with 403 D&B? What's going on since COVID for you guys?
I mean, obviously, COVID completely wiped out, any business that closely resembles what we do, with no return kind of in the immediate future, right? I mean, optimistically, we're all hoping that, it'll happen this year, but I mean, just with so much uncertainty, I mean, we're all in the same boat with regards to having to cancel shows and, with no return. I mean, most venues that we're working with won't even, be open to the conversation of even talking about dates right yet. So, I mean, that's kind of what it is. Yeah.
For sure. Now, 403 D&B, for the people that don't know and aren't familiar, is a promotion company in Calgary, drum and bass shows. You've done festivals, you've done huge, big stuff, small stuff. Tell us more about what you guys do usually.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I like to think of ourselves more as like a collective than anything else. I mean, our direction is obviously in our bread and butter, which is small to medium size events, as well as, content generation for members of the collective. But other than that, I mean, we do dabble in co-promotion on other events. We do dabble in festivals, we do dabble in stuff like that. But our bread and butter has always been kind of, an equal showcase of Calgary talent and international and North American talent. So, but we do like to keep it more in the kind of mid to small scale.
Yeah, Calgary's been, it's been an interesting time for the last 10 years in Calgary because we've had so many different venue changes. And at one point you guys had the D&B BBQ.
Yeah, we
that was
did.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, it was really awesome, right? And it just like you mentioned, I mean, it's the perpetuation of the idea that these businesses don't want to take a chance with kind of live music, and they're kind of going to the standard format of large bench seat brew houses, right? So
yeah,
I mean,
for sure,
it's happening everywhere you go. I mean, I talk to my friends in the UK and in France. I mean, even in France, the height of the culinary world and kind of like the cocktail, like bar scene. I mean, they're still kind of having this overflow of craft beer houses, and I mean, and businessmen want to invest more in that than they do in live music and venues. So I mean,
I wonder how brew houses are going to do after COVID.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all to be seen. We're not going to know for quite some time, but I'm wondering when things come back, if live music will actually be even more important than it was before, because people are going to want to be activated, or if it'll be a really slow progress with live shows.
Well,
like, it's just so hard to know.
Right? Because there's a lot of businesses that will come out of this. Like, people like myself, like, we're lucky because we don't have kind of the brick and mortar style of like, rent to pay and bills due, like, despite the fact of not having doors being open. Right. Yeah. So you'll be curious to see what happens moving forward with how business owners interpret their risk. Right. And whether or not they'll try to just, businesses that are obviously we're not struggling, but, weren't doing the best prior to the COVID thing, that do have the money to weather the storm, whether that'll change their approach to, what they want to do and what they want to allow in their venues. Cause it very well could, right? Yeah. You could have people being a little bit more desperate to do things that they, wouldn't normally do. But on the other hand, you could have, people are stubborn, right? They think that, what they have in their business and has to be run and they'll run it into the ground, right? So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how that really pans out.
Yeah, for sure. Now, 403 D&B recently had your first online stream. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so, obviously there was a massive influx of artists all over the world trying to use streaming as their kind of outlet, right? And I won't say that we were slow to it, but, I was obviously under pressure from, numerous people within the collective saying, this is something we need to get on. This is something we need to get on. And I didn't want to just be one of those, another one to
Just
add
adding to the noise and stuff, right?
Meaningless streams, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you're not a headliner, you're not a heavy content producer, like someone like TC and Drum and Bass, for example, who's doing 30 tunes in 30 days, where he's literally making 30 songs and one every day, right, on live stream, like teaching people how to do it from a teaching standpoint. And we weren't like that. I just didn't want to add it to the pile. So I really wanted to have a reason. And over the course of my career doing this, I've been known to do charity events from time to time. Myself and a friend, Nathan McKenzie, we did one for a couple years, then once a month, and it's something I've always been passionate about, and I just felt like it was an opportunity for us to give back to the community. I mean, the community has given us a lot, maybe not financially, but definitely artistically, and it given us the ability to kind of be at the forefront and tastemaker for what the city does and what the city likes, and at least a small niche of the city. So it was important for me to kind of do something and give back, and we just kind of went back to that platform, and I wanted to see the first time around whether it was feasible, right? I mean, I know people outside of Europe had done live streams, and including one of our headliners, John Rolodex, had done one, and people just weren't seeing the donation numbers that really kind of suit something like this, the amount of effort that's required to do it. But
of course,
ours went really, really well. And, I really wanted to have a focus on not only artists in my collective, but other artists in North America, because I think that we're going to be the ones that those are going to be the people we're going to have to rely on moving forward. Because
absolutely.
It's like drum and bass is so heavily European, and so heavily English, and it's really dominated these days by English and Belgium and New Zealand and things like that. And I mean, I can't see artists from those areas being able to travel anytime soon.
Yeah,
right?
I feel like for drum and bass specifically, that touring economy really heavily relies on export and import. So I am actually really interested to see how our local scene is going to shift focus, and even the festivals, even next year might not be able to have the same level of out of town guests. It just, I kind of hope in a way that some of the focus comes back to the more local spotlight, because I think, I personally believe that Alberta has some of the best drum and bass DJs in Canada. And I think it would be awesome to get some of these people, propelling forward at faster paces. It would be awesome to see that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And that kind of has been, at the back of my mind through all this and through the decision-making process of where I wanted our direction to go. A lot of people these days are saying, personally, like, don't be so hard on yourself, right? Take this time to really think. And I have been, and kind of where we want the direction to go, if there isn't X, right? Like we don't know what X is, but, just kind of, kind of contemplating what it looks like outside of COVID. And one thing that, I wouldn't say that we've always been criticized for, but for lack of a better word, I would say criticized, is that you're right, Isis. Like 100%, we have some of the best drum and bass DJs in the country, if not North America. Mm-hmm. However, what you're really seeing is, for some reason, a lot of them haven't made the switch to production, or a lot of them just get the recognition that they deserve in other parts of the country to kind of create that self-sustaining national music scene, where like if you look at Halftime, or you look at Future Bass, or you look at that, like Western Canada is a thriving
booming pop.
Like and I would say the west coast of North America in general, right? I mean, but like you have Fat Cat, and you have Librarian, and you have Rolodex, and, well, I wouldn't say Rolodex in that, but I mean, you have Ting, and you have Small, and you have Little Snake, and you have Greasus, and you have all these guys making that a very similar sound to drum and bass, but it's not 170s, it's 80s.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's amazing. There's all these subcategories that are coming out, but you're right. The drum and bass community in Alberta, they were slow on the uptick to produce records, I think. And
I think it's because we're older too, right?
Maybe, possibly,
When we were coming up, like I've known you for a long time, and when we were coming up, you had to have the money for the gear, right? Analog gear wasn't expensive. Like, it wasn't as easy as I remember when Ableton first came out, or when people first started using Logic, and like Like
Yeah.
before it was all hardware, you know, and in
Mhm.
order to produce a drum and bass song, you needed like an 808, you needed a Virus TI, and you needed like
Yeah.
10,000 bucks worth of gear, right? That just wasn't feasible for especially like our type of demographic.
Well,
right?
and you were so young. You were like 17 years old, and
That's
that
what I
sort of thing
mean.
is outside of your scope at that stage, right?
Exactly. Now you have guys that are like Little Snake for the second time. I mean, that kid has been, you know,
Yeah.
into music for as long as I can remember, you know, seeing his face around, right?
Since he
And
was this big.
since he
And now he's this big.
that big, right? And it's
Yeah,
just
he's a great
there's
artist,
an
though.
opportunity there for these kids that weren't there for us. And not saying, no, not hating on it in any way, shape, or form, but it's now all you need is a, you know, $200 MIDI controller and a
Mhm.
copy of like a hacked copy of Ableton, you know. And not that I endorse that in any way, shape, or form, but that's a lot of how these kids are getting their
Their
start.
start. Yeah, I totally agree with you. So back to your fundraiser, you did it on a Sunday. What I loved about your stream is that it was a Saturday. Sunday?
You know,
Okay, but it was during the day. It was during the day, and I think this is great because, as you said, there's been so much noise on the streaming platforms, but a lot of the stuff's happening at night. And what I loved about your guys' stream is that it was during the day, and it went for a long period of time. And I was in the chat, and I had a great time, and it was a perfect day for it because I think that was our nicest day, nicest day so far of the year, and like people were really engaged. And you turned out some great results.
Listeners during the day than we did at night. And I think
Yep.
that was that's why I wanted to start it so early, because I mean, you know, you put your big guns on at night, but at the end of the day, I mean, you just go through your Facebook events alone without even going onto the World Wide Web and seeing how many other live streams. I mean, we were competing with EDC, you know, their live stream event that weekend. We were competing with a lot. And, you know, just to have that focus on the daytime, a lot of the kind of more popular people in our collective were put earlier in the day. And there was some opportunities from some lesser known people to kind of, you know, get their tunes out there too. But I love it too. Like, I love the daytime vibe. I think it just suits the, you know, everybody being stuck at home on their patio with a seat or with a glass of wine or whatever it is, you know.
It was a totally great vibe. So you guys ended up fundraising $2,500 for the Calgary Food Bank.
$2,550. Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, I have to say, going back to doing fundraising events in person, like oftentimes you've got so much overhead and production costs that, you know, raising $2,500 for a fundraiser can often be challenging.
Yeah. Difficult. Yeah.
So, I mean, this is a great platform. Do you guys think that you'll continue doing this until COVID is over, or like even afterwards, or what do you think the plan is?
Well, the plan right now is, as I've said before, was that I wanted to move forward with something that in a way we could use to give back to our community, right? Like I said earlier that, you know, we've been lucky in the sense that, you know, day jobs aside, that, you know, we're not brick and mortar, right? And we've had to cancel, like I've canceled dates through till 2021. I mean, you know, there were some really, really big shows like, you know, AEMCON that we were working, you know, there was a really big, like, artist in May. Like, I mean, we canceled, you know, probably half a dozen big shows plus other little ones that hadn't been kind of slotted in yet. So, I mean, you know, the advantage of being able to just cancel and being like, okay, well, we might not get a refund, but, you know, we'll get it back, you know, as opposed to having to pay the rent and pay this. So we found that it was really important to use our platform and our reach to try to give back to the community. We have been hit really hard. And that's not to say that every, you know, charity that we decide to donate to, or every cause we decide to donate to will be local. There might be, you know, national, there might be regional that are outside of Calgary. But I just think that, I mean, you know, even the lady from the food bank had said like $2,500 is almost 12 grand worth of food for them.
Exactly. Like, I mean, it's a huge impact that you created.
Yeah, that feeds almost 10 families, they said.
That's amazing.
Right, per month, right? So, I mean, those opportunities to give back when, you know, when we haven't necessarily been put in the worst situation, it's a good opportunity to get creative. So to answer your question, yes, I will be moving forward with these on either a monthly basis or, you know, maybe every 6 weeks. I don't want to oversaturate it. I want people to come and get engaged for that full 12 hours and, you know, have like a family kind of reconvening all the people you haven't seen in a while. And from, you know, from Toronto as well. There's tons of people in the chat from Toronto. There's tons of people in the chat from Vancouver. I mean,
yeah, it was great.
Yeah,
it was a really, really fun chat. I had a great time in the chat there. It was awesome.
Sure. So that's kind of the idea, right? I mean, it's we've lost everything, but it's great to feel that we can give back. And after COVID, I mean, nobody really knows what's going to happen with that. But
Yeah.
I mean, the idea, like, I would love the idea of bringing back charity events, like in-person charity events. And like you had just said, Isis, the problem with charity events is that it's such a fine line between your overhead and the amount that you're giving back, right? It's like, well, I could raise more money if I had a headliner, but then my costs go up, right? If you don't have those draws, then you risk not having, the engagement that you want and the donations that you want. So it's always this kind of like, really stressful kind of game of Tetris where you're trying to like, put one block in here, right? But not have it affect your bottom line. So I think that it is always something I'll explore, but for now we're just happy, keeping the spotlight on our amazing Alberta locals and giving back to great causes. I mean, nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow, let alone by the end.
The goalposts are moving like every couple days.
Oh yeah, like and thankfully we live in Canada and not the United States as well.
I'm pretty thankful to be Canadian these times. Yep, for sure. So where can people connect with 403DNB? On Twitch, I think it's 403DNB at like twitch.tv.
Yeah, like everything, it's literally at 403DNB. So Twitch, it's Twitch TV /403DNB. Facebook, it's 403DNB. SoundCloud, it's 403DNB.
Amazing.
Twitter, everywhere. It's nice and easy to find.
Do you have a date for your next event planned, or is that still under wraps?
I have talent for it, but I don't have a date for it. It'll be probably sometime mid to end of June.
Okay.
Just out on the socials for that. Like it's exciting because, like I said, I mean, trying to put that focus back on, we had Bachelors of Science who's from San Francisco and John in RMS. I mean, putting that, really trying to get people accustomed to seeing our locals and thinking of our locals as headliners and thinking of the headliners we have in Edmonton or in Vancouver and Toronto that are actually legitimate headliners for some reason. We don't think of them as such. Like the people that come to the shows are like, oh, that's only RMS. Like he lives in Toronto, we can see him anytime. Well, I mean, people line up. He played the Ram Records live stream a few weeks ago and just crushed it, right? So, I mean, it's hopefully, the one thing that we can say while we're giving back is that, it creates that appreciation of distance makes the heart grow fonder type of deal where
absolutely,
maybe when this comes out, we'll be able to have a local show and charge $20 for it and make money, right? Because I'm sure I mean, 403DNB is more of a nonprofit organization than it is anything else, right? I mean,
I think that a lot of us in this industry can probably say something like that about our businesses.
For sure, right? I mean, our goal has always been when we did make money to put that money back into the risks that we didn't want to take with our own money, right? So, either doing something bigger or doing something out of the norm. So, now we can do it without the overhead.
That's amazing. Well, Tyler, that's all the time I have for you today, but this has been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for talking with me.
Yeah, thanks, Isis. It's been great.
I'll see you on the next stream.
Yeah, stay safe out there.
Okay, bye. All right, I have Mitch Lee from Beat Drop here as my first guest today. Mitch, how are you?
I'm great. I've got my Beano coffee and I'm ready to go.
That's amazing. You run a music school, an electronic music school, and what were you guys doing before COVID-19?
We were operating like a traditional school was. We had a bricks and mortar location that we just moved into in January, and we were offering courses for primarily adults, 18 years old to 30-year-olds is kind of who we were targeting, and we were teaching all aspects of electronic music production. So we would offer courses like single courses, and we also offered like 1-year certificate programs.
That's amazing. And you've had to make some big changes. Obviously with COVID, everyone's had to shut their doors. And how did that lead you to where you are now? What happened next?
So when I think it was probably mid-March?
Yeah, around the 14th, I think was when we got the closure.
And COVID hit. We were recommended that at that time everything was to close down. We had to make a decision to cancel or change our current winter semester to online. So the current students, we met on Zoom and we offered the classes in the evening. Well, we always did classes in the evening. So it was a pretty easy transition just to go online. We didn't have a ton of students. and we just went online. But the big one was we had to cancel our spring semester, which was our most of our income for the year that would help us sustain us till the fall. And then the fall, we were going to have a big launch with our new location. And that was the goal. Then everything changed in a heartbeat. And all of a sudden we're done.
You had some summer camps that were booked for kids for this summer prior to that. And you've done summer camps before for kids. And then you had recently had a DJ class and an Ableton beginners class for kids. What did you end up doing for kids this time around?
So over the last 3 years, we've seen a trend. And this is something you always told us, years ago. It's like, you got to get in with the kids. Kids is a great market.
I did tell you that, actually.
And so maybe, your check's in the mail, Isis. So we started to see this trend, and we would have in-person classes, and our Ableton for Kids class continued to grow. Our DJing for Kids class was always sold out, and we only could take 6 kids though. Like we had 6 controllers and 6 speakers and a small room that we could actually house. And same with our Ableton for Kids. It slowly became sold out every time, and we could only offer for 6 kids at once. And so we'd been doing summer camps, and so kids wasn't our focus, but it was something we knew about. And when this thing hit, I was like, parents, because I'm a dad, I got 3 kids.
Yeah.
And parents are going to need something for their kids during the day. The kids are out yanked out of school. Yeah. I'm sure they're going crazy, and the kids, all they want to do is play video games and watch Netflix or TV or whatever.
Yeah, they need something productive to do, right?
Yeah, parents are going to be looking for something. So we're like, hey, why don't we take our kids' classes and put them online somehow? Well, it's really hard. They need to have a keyboard, and they need to have Ableton, and that's like really expensive, and they need to do this, we need to do that. And there's all these roadblocks, all these things that we said, you can't. They need to come to a place, because we always offered that. Show up, we got all the gear, everything. So we were like, I don't know if that'll work. I said, no, we got to figure this out. We got to figure out a way that we can help these families.
Yeah.
And so we did. We put together a 4-day program that was based around concepts of drums and beats, bass lines, chords, and melodies. And we talked about we're building a cake, and we're going to build a cake is like the ingredients of a song. I'm like, yeah, that works. And
that's
cake,
so great. It's so simple, but so great. Yeah.
Yeah. So so we started to develop this 4-day program that was free. And then someone was like, well, how are you going to make money with this? We'll figure that out later. Let's just make something really cool and really great for families and parents. Make it. And here was the killer app, or the killer part of this was, let's go live. Let's not just make a course and go, here you go, here, watch these videos.
Yeah, do it live.
And let's have a specific time. And I think parents really liked the fact that it was at a set time. So little Isis is, okay, Isis, you got 11 a.m. today. You got to be on on Zoom for beat drop class. And they like the fact that they're there from 11 till 12.
Yeah, it's a timeout for the parents, right? It's something that they can build into their routine.
Yes. Great. So that's what they were looking for, because now parents are like, I'm a homeschool parent. I don't know what to do. And I got to do all this stuff. So we really actually had to do a deep dive. And my business mentor has said, challenged me, says, you really have to understand what parents are going through right now. You really have to understand what they're looking for. You're marketing to parents, not to kids, but you're marketing to parents. So you make it sure it's awesome for kids and they have a blast when they get there, but you're ultimately serving parents and the families. So that was a shift for us.
Yeah. And so one thing I noticed about this program that I loved is that you offered it for free.
Yeah. So that was, if you know what I'm learning about and I'm not a marketer, I'm not a businessman. I like sitting in my studio like most of us, and when COVID hit, we're like, great, we've been doing this our whole lives.
Time to make tunes.
I know. But so they were like, listen, they have to learn to trust you and have to learn to appreciate what you're doing. And if you make it free, they'll fall in love with you, because as soon as they come to Beat Drop, they're hooked. And as soon as they meet you guys as instructors, as soon as they receive the teaching and the way that you teach this, they'll be hooked. So don't put up a roadblock of a price, because as soon as it's cost money, parents are like, oh, wait,
it's just another thing, and everyone's got restricted income right now. And do you think as a marketing tactic, this is so brilliant, because you've got tons of kids, and now I heard that you had kids from all over the globe taking these classes?
So we have kids. We have kids from, you name it, all over the UK. We've had kids from Ireland, from England. I guess, yeah, that's UK. From kids from Germany, kids from, and we're not even advertising in some of these places. So we did start to run ads to this, and that's what it blew up. But yeah, mostly the US, Canada, and the UK is where we're focusing. But we've had kids from all over the world, and we're currently getting between 1,000 to 1,300 kids registered every week. And
this is amazing. So here's a question.
Yeah.
What do you think? So these kids are average age like 8 to 12 or 8 to 15?
8 to 14. And then we have the odd 15-year-old and then the odd mom and dad who actually sign up.
Just want to do it. Oh, that's amazing. What do you think the impacts are going to be when we've got this huge amount of kids making music? Like if you're doing 1,000 kids a week, imagine if we came out of COVID with like 20,000 new producers. Pretty incredible.
Crazy. You guys are all out of a job. That's for sure. In like 3 weeks, in 3 years, these little super producers are going to be killing you.
Yeah.
We're not that's how many sign up per week, but there's usually between 400 and 600 who actually show up to the class.
Of course. Yeah. That's
and then we offer a replay, so people that can't show up live, they can watch it. So, but still, that's a lot of kids. Like we never ever thought of reaching that many kids.
Absolutely.
And being effective at the same time, not just like they learn how to use Ableton after 4 days.
This is kids we're talking about. They can their brains are like little sponges. They can learn things.
Oh, they're just like ninjas. So I don't know. I think it's pretty neat that there's just nothing like this. And
no, I haven't seen anything, which I think is really cool. Good for you guys.
So it's been really rewarding. And in the emails we get back from parents who saying, listen, my kid is ADD and he usually has a mentor sit with him during his online classes because he's so scatterbrained. He stuck with you guys your full hour of class, and he spent another hour afterwards working in Ableton after class each week. He goes, I've never seen this without a mentor, without any help.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's
so cool.
Those kind of stories, just like, oh, that's amazing. That's what's warmed my heart. And just like, yes, that's what I feel like. It's almost like a new vision for Beat Drop and a new initiative for us to focus on families and kids and to give them opportunities to learn about this.
And so like as a funnel, a sales funnel, these kids take the free class, and then is the hope then that some of them will sign up for private lessons and coaching with you?
Yeah. So we had to figure out, okay, what's next for them after this free 4-day course. And in 4 days, you can't learn much, but there's at least they're getting a taste of what they can do, and they're super pumped. So we put together a 3-week paid program that we offer for those that finish. Then on Fridays, like today, at the end of the class, I'll do a little pitch saying, hey, did you enjoy this? Was it fun for you? If so, get your mom and dad on. We'll answer questions, and we'll talk about our 3-week paid program that we're offering currently.
That's amazing.
So that was our goal, and it's been pretty successful. I have Ableton certified trainers in Germany now hired. In Munich, he's from. Claire's from New York City. Gabe, who's a certified trainer, he's from Calgary here. He's going. And then I hired Kevin from Vancouver. So we have like 4 or 5 Ableton certified trainers now just employed. And they're not employed like all day, but they're teaching these classes. And then we have teacher assistants in each one of those classes. So
that's incredible. So I mean, really, this has provided you guys, like, it gave you a quick boost that you needed to propel your business.
It sustained us, and we were able to actually not only keep our employees, but to hire more employees during this time. That's crazy.
Incredible. Yeah, that is really incredible.
And for the first time, being able to pay myself potentially. So
congratulations, Mitch. That's a big deal.
It is. Like, people don't realize, like, for years and years and years we run Beat Drop, and it was a break-even endeavor, and I just loved it. And it wasn't my real job. Like, my real job was here at the studio and doing stuff for movies and TV and advertising. So this has changed everything for us in terms of the trajectory that we're going to go. And that's, maybe we'll talk about that, but we're trying to figure out, we want to continue this whole online thing. We recognize this COVID situation is kind of like a perfect storm, but
yeah, absolutely.
I think in the fall, we're going to change our our offerings a little bit, but we're going to continue to do this. And so, yeah.
Well, it sounds like COVID created a perfect storm, as you say, to move you towards a more online virtual space for your program offerings, which I think is great. I'm seeing a lot of movements like this in education, and it's to be seen what the public school board's going to do in the fall. We obviously don't know, but you know, I have a lot of friends with kids, and they're really enjoying taking part in some of these virtual environments, and are actually finding it to be a lot nicer for them as parents too, because they're not driving all over the city all the time. So it's actually it's amazing to have these resources for kids.
To come home and not to know, like, my kids don't have sports, which they hate, and they don't have all these other musical things to drive to. Yeah, driving alone, it's like you realize, oh man. And then the price of gas is so cheap, you're like, oh geez.
Oh, that's funny. Well, Mitch, this has been so great. That's all the time we have for today for this segment. But thank you so much for being a part of VEMS. Thank you for all you do. Where can we find information about your programs?
You can go to our website, beatdrop.ca, or on our Instagram. It's a bit harder to find us there.
Yes, it is. You guys, your Instagram grip is, I get it wrong every time.
Yeah, it's beatdrop with a 3 and a 0. So, you know what's crazy? There's some scammers that stole our logo. So if you type in beatdrop, there's all these other beatdrop accounts, and they stole our logo.
No way.
Yeah, and we have people following. Anyway, I don't.
Oh, nah, that's fine.
Yeah, beatdrop.ca.
Thank you so much, Mitch. This has been awesome. Let's
Thanks,
catch up
Isis.
next week.
Okay.
All right. Bye. Thanks for joining me for Making the Pivot. I'm Isis Graham, and it's been super great chatting with all these businesses. If you want to find out more about any of these folks, visit our website, www.albertaelectronicmusic.com. In our schedule tab, there's a bit more information about each and every one of them. I also want to send a special shout out to 3 really important people, Riley Miller, Katie Kershaw, and Kate Roberts, who are our organizational team and make VEMS possible. I hope you enjoyed this segment, and we'll see you on the internet.